Hello everyone, and we are here for another exciting video. We are going to dive into Before the Shadow first playthrough. We're going to talk about what it is, and we're going to talk about first impressions and go over the pros and cons of what I felt when playing through. I got my notes here. I'm ready to do this. I'm excited for this. I hope you're all excited for this. We're going to get right into it. Let's break it down. All right, so what is Before the Shadow? So what Before the Shadow is, it's a new expansion that SSG is just recently released back in November 15th, 2022. Yeah, I know I'm late. I'm a little late. Sorry, it's something where it was hard to stay on task with playing the intro, and we'll get into that with the pros and cons. But basically, it was a new expansion that SSG released with two new regions that, for mostly new players, it's a new intro area, but it's also two new regions that you, as a already high level character or low level character, still go into. You got new deeds, new regions, new quests, all that, and there's even a new 6-man instance as well that's scalable from level 10 or 20 something, maybe all the way up to level 140, which is one of the new 6-mans that a lot of people are running for end game and whatnot. So you get the two new regions, Cardalon and Swanfleet, and then the primary focus of it though is it is a new intro starting area for new players. All right, it's got a great new kind of revamp of an intro, and then it also ensures that you get the mount skill at the end of it. Teaches you new players also how to use the Lotro store and what to use Lotro points for. The two new regions have vast new landscapes, which in my opinion are very beautiful. And that's a lot of the stuff that we're going to dive into the pros and cons, because like another thing is obviously this isn't free to new players, which is kind of an issue. So we'll talk about that though. So basically, in a nutshell, it's a new expansion that released just before the New Year's, and now with two new regions and so forth, with a new intro and so forth. But without further ado, let's just dive right into the pros and cons. We're gonna break this down, kind of give you a glance at what I thought of this intro area and the two new regions and the playthrough as a new player myself. We're gonna go over what's good and what's bad. And you might be a little interested, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think too in the comments. So with that though, let's dive right into it. Let's talk about the pros. Hello. I felt I needed to get into the proper attire to talk about the pros. So actually, no, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. So the pros, you guys. If I had to dive into like the biggest pro that I thought overall, just from playing Before the Shadow, was just the landscape. The landscape and just the two new regions, it was phenomenal, amazing. Like SSG really outdid themselves again, like they've always done, with just keeping the whole life of feeling immersed and just feeling like you're inside the beautiful world of Middle Earth. They did a phenomenal job with that, hands down. Give all the credit to them. All right. I think it's a great intro for new players as well, but that's going to kind of tie into the cons as well. All right, it's a good intro where it kind of introduces you to the Lotro store, it introduces you to combat, to a new story and all that. It's a good way. It's another fun new way for new players to get themselves into Lotro, and the tutorial tips and tutorial stuff and everything is all very user friendly, and I think it's a lot better than what it was before. Right, but again, like we're gonna dive kind of in that some more with the cons. All right, there's a decent amount of fun quests and instances. There were some like instance quests that I did enjoy, and I had some fun. Where like it was story driven, but it was also story driven where it was a quest, like a side quest where it wasn't exactly tied with the main quest. So I thought that was fun. It's a good way where there's one of the instance quests is actually where it introduces you to SV, the new 6-man instance or solo instance as well. That was a cool way where like it introduces you to it so you can play it on your own as well when you're leveling, and then also you already know it for when if you ever make it to end game and you make it to level 140. So I like that. The quests were rather well for giving gear progression, I thought, where you don't feel like you're pressured into having to craft And that's both for accessories and even armor and weapons and everything. But you know, if you make the choice to want to craft, you still can craft, and a lot of the crafting you can still fill in pieces of gear with better gear through crafting, just because it's not like every single quest gives you an upgrade. So sometimes you can go for a period of time without an upgrade. So, but I thought it was fairly balanced overall with the whole gear progression for quests. And then the epic storyline I thought was enjoyable. It was story driven. It was immersive. Now, I guess it was fun. It was good to where like it's something new, something fresh, something original. But it wasn't like, I don't know. And this is where I will dive into the cons. But like it wasn't anything crazy where, you know, I still enjoy Arch It. I enjoy the original man intro area and Arch It and all that. That's one of my favorites, and even the intro area for the dwarfs and the elves and Erluin. All right. So kind of already tying into that, we're going to transition now to the cons. All right. Now the cons, to me, if one thing really stood out, I mean, actually a lot of things stood out, like, just to be frank, too much running back and forth for quests, especially the epic quests and even just side quests. There's too much just like go here and then go back where you just came from, and then go back to the town, and then go back right back where you just were, and then go back up the north where you just were too. It's a lot of just bouncing around, and it felt tedious. So it took away to me, and this is obviously all preference, but to me it kind of took away enjoyment in my personal opinion. I know, understand you want to have some of that just so, because then it makes you feel immersed, especially in regions that are built off of a beautiful landscape. But there is a point where it's too much, and that's where I felt like it was too much. Another thing that I had issues with, and I've heard a lot of people have issues with too, is just a lot of places where there's just poor frames, poor FPS. I would have a lot of drop frames in certain areas, and it would just no explanation. Even with, you know, I have a 3080, and there's no reason I should really be having drop frames for, you know, reason at all. So that was one thing that I know I'm not the only one who's experienced that either. So another one is like, it just wasn't, to me, it just didn't feel all that enticing or exciting. I don't know, like the quests and some instances were fun, but I don't know what it is. I guess maybe it could be I'm biased just because the story that you're following in this new intro area doesn't exactly tie perfectly in with the story of the ring. And what the original intro quests did is you would eventually tie in with the ring, and then you would follow Aragorn and Gandalf and whatnot. And that's, I guess, what I really enjoy, just because I love Lotro. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings, and I love the story of Lord of the Rings, and so I enjoyed feeling like I'm a hero in the backstory of the One Ring story. So that could be something that just kind of makes me a little biased, but that's just my personal thought. Nothing was like really captivating for me, to be honest. And because of that, I never really had an itch to keep playing. I knew I wanted to keep playing because I did want to make a video on it, and I wanted to talk about it and share my thoughts with you guys and with everybody else who's ever played with it or who's never even played it yet. So that way you can have a kind of idea, you know, is it worth buying, or is it better off to just wait until most likely you'll become free in one of the free codes that they give out usually every once a year before the next expansion that comes. That's just kind of what to me, I didn't have an itch, and that's why it's taken so long. I mean, it came out November 15th, and I'm just now, it's the 20th of February of recording this, and I just finished my last quest of the epic storyline yesterday on the 19th of February. It took me a while to finish this, and a lot of it is because I found more enjoyment playing other tunes, playing my champion, playing some endgame content, leveling a warden for my kin for us doing some legacy instances. I was just having more fun with that than I was with playing this new intro area. And so that's one thing that kind of really, like, I probably won't play through this again for a long time, I would say. If I ever do again at some point, I don't know, because it's such a, nothing was captivating enough to where I don't think I'll have any nostalgic memories of it. I mean, I guess we'll see, and in maybe down the road, but the nostalgic memories I have with like Archit and Comb and Staddle and Bree, those are staples, and I think that's also what could possibly make me biased as well. But I don't know. To me, my personal thought and what my experienced with it is, I think it is a great thing what they did with this, introducing two new regions and also a new way for players to start the game. But it just didn't feel very captivating to me. And then that kind of rolls into it too, though, for new players. I would say one of the worst things about this too is the fact that it's not free. How are you supposed to get new players into a game and get them to experience this whole new starting area if they have to buy it? That's not a way to get people into the game, especially with a new expansion that's based off of a new starting area, a new intro. To me, it should be free. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Like, if you want to get people to come to the game, and especially new players to come to the game and to experience this whole brand new starting area and intro, you can't market that by saying, oh, but by the way, you got to pay for it first, especially when Lotro already is a free-to-play game. It's a free-to-play game. So what are they going to do? They're going to come to the game and just start in the original areas where they can play for free? Or are they going to pay for a new region all because it's just new, but they could also just play for free? I just don't think that's the right way to go about getting new players into the game for what Before the Shadow, for what I believe Before the Shadow is supposed to be based on. It's supposed to be a whole new, brand new two regions for a starter area. You know, and with the way my experience is I don't think, and I feel like a lot of people who've played through it already, who are like veterans and who've been around, kind of feel the same way, where nothing's captivating about it. So I like when I was leveling in this region and stuff, I didn't see a lot of people. The most people I saw were usually 140s at the random little towns doing delvings. That's it. Mostly on that, did not see a lot of other people leveling in those areas. So to me, that's not really a good sign. To me, that's like there's no purpose, or the purpose of this expansion was not fulfilled. And I think a lot of it is because it was put behind a paywall. It was put behind where people have to buy it in order to experience it. I hope they change that. I hope SSG changes that, especially hopefully with the Umbar coming. They're going to take away maybe that requirement to buy it in order to play it. We'll see. I'm hoping that's the case. That's what they've done in the past through 2 years, where they've given a lot of expansions for free right before a new expansion. Now, however, usually the expansion right before the upcoming expansion usually isn't given free, but I guess we'll see. I know they also put them on sale to where you can get them for like 95 Lotro points or something like that. So I guess we'll see. That's kind of hopes. But in an all in all breakdown, all right, let's kind of break it down. I mean, there's a lot of pros, with Before the Shadow. Like I talked about, the landscape was amazing. Great intro for getting, your mount right away and getting introduced to the Lotro store. There's some decent amount of fun quests and instances. You get introduced to the new 6-man instance right off the bat. Quests it's a decent gear progression for you, so it's not too challenging. It doesn't feel like you're not being rewarded for what you're doing. And it had, the epic storyline was enjoyable. I very much enjoyed it. It had a decent original story, and it was fun to follow some new characters, and even Boromir was in the story as well. Now the cons, I think the cons outweigh the pros. There's just too much running back and forth for quests. The FPS, the frame drops is it's kind of already on top of it. We're dealing with lag issues, and now in these new regions, we're dealing with frame issues. Now, the past few times I've played, it hasn't been so bad, but I'm still not going to leave that out. Not all of that. It's just not all that enticing. It's not exciting. It wasn't captivating. It's and to the point where I have thoughts of not playing it again in any near future. All right. I didn't ever have an itch to keep playing it, and so that's why it took this long to get it done. And quite frankly, the one of the worst things is it's not free. You can't get new players to come to the game for a new experience if it's not free, especially if you market your game as a free-to-play MMO. So I think that's like the real staple right there, is the fact that it's not free. And I really hope that SSG will change that. I guess we'll see here in the future. But all in all, that is my thoughts with my first playthrough, my first impression on Before the Shadow. Let me know in the comments what your guys' thoughts are. Did you maybe enjoy it? Is there some things that, you know, you think I should maybe think a little differently on, maybe give it another chance? Or are you kind of in the same boat as me where it really just wasn't all that captivating, or anything really, nothing extreme stood out to where, you know, you fell in love with it? You know, where like the original game when we first played Locho back in 2007, and those original starting areas for men in Archit, and for the hobbits and the Shire, and then Ered Luin for the elves and dwarves. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about that. On that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments too, like what you want to see here in the future. I know I've talked about some ideas. We're gonna keep having the content rolling out and whatnot, but like I always say, please, it's greatly appreciated. Leave a like, leave a comment. It helps with that algorithm. Please submit your likes to the algorithm gods. It helps me, and it's going to help me reach more people that want to enjoy some Locho content. And without that, you know, I just appreciate everything that you guys already have given me. We're almost halfway to 1,000 subs, so I want to keep pushing that. I want to keep driving. I want to keep moving forward as a community and as a channel. But to end it all, I love you all, I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Matty Ice, out. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Again, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know what type of content you want to see in future videos. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, hit that bell button so that way you can get notified every single time one of my videos go live on the channel, so that way you never miss out on any of my content. Again, thank you, and I love you all.